What if the Industrial Revolution wasn't just the birth of modern prosperity, but also the blueprint for modern misery? Today, we're uncovering 10 forgotten realities that progress tried to erase. From poisoned towns to lost childhoods, this is the other side of the steam age. The one history books summarized in a single line: mechanization improved life. The truth is, it did, for everyone except those who kept the engines running. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1. Children in factories. A generation of children once woke each day not for school, but for a factory bell. In the early textile mills, nimble fingers and small frames meant profit. Their size fit the spinning frames. Their endurance filled the endless hours. Employers called it opportunity. Parents called it survival. Among them were parish apprentices, orphans bound from poorhouses into mills where the law itself signed their servitude. They were fed sparingly, disciplined harshly, and treated as property transferred from one institution to another. State relief blurred with enterprise. Local officials justified the arrangement as moral instruction and efficient welfare, while owners valued the steady, inexpensive hands. 12 or 14 hours a day, children worked until exhaustion replaced thought. They became the first mechanized workforce, human cogs driven by hunger and necessity, trading youth for the hum of machines that defined progress. Number 2. Deadly factory accidents. The hum of progress was underscored by the screams that never made it into the history books. In early factories, accidents weren't rare events. They were daily sounds beneath the machinery's rhythm. Broken fingers, crushed limbs, and fatal falls were accepted parts of production. Safety guards didn't exist. Gears spun openly, belts whipped through the air, and narrow aisles left no space for hesitation. One mistimed motion could draw a worker into the machine, and shifts continued as if nothing happened. Empathy had no place within industrial discipline. Supervisors prized endurance and punished delay, believing compassion slowed output. Lives became another cost, folded silently into ledgers. Industrial efficiency redefined what counted as a loss. The machines demanded constant feeding, and each death was tallied like wasted material. Precision made progress thrive, but it also made suffering mechanical, exact, and endlessly repeatable. Number 3. Polluted cities and poisoned air. The modern city rose on a column of smoke, and that smoke never cleared. Coal-powered factories, homes, and street lamps, filling the air with soot that coated every surface. Skies dimmed to a gray twilight, and even midday felt like dusk. In industrial towns, chimneys stood shoulder to shoulder, exhaling a constant haze that hid the horizon. The dust thickened inside homes and lungs alike, turning clean air into another commodity few could afford. People called it progress. No laws limited the burning, and few questioned what the black fog might do to them decades later. The price of civilization, they said, was smoke. What was hailed as the triumph of steam became a silent killer. That same belief, that pollution equals prosperity, echoes today in every skyline where haze still passes for progress. Number 4. Disease and epidemics in slums. The heart of the industrial city wasn't the mill. It was the slum, next to the waste pit. Whole families crowded into tiny rooms, sleeping beside heaps of refuse and puddles of stagnant water. The air hung heavy with damp and decay, and floors soaked up sewage from the streets outside. In that rot, disease found its home. Cholera, typhus, and fevers swept through entire alleys faster than news could spread. Doctors called them outbreaks. Workers called them routine. The cities grew faster than their drains. Each new factory drew migrants. Each new influx packed the rooms tighter. Illness became not an emergency, but an accepted toll. Those slums functioned like a secondary machine. They absorbed the poor, consumed their health, and sent their weakened bodies back to work. The wealth of industry glittered above. Its epidemics festered quietly below. Number 5. The Matchstick Girls. A white phosphorus match could light a cigarette or slowly rot a jaw. Inside match factories, women worked amid clouds of phosphorus dust that clung to their hair and skin. No masks, no precautions, just rows of faces glowing faintly under lamps. Soon came Phossy Jaw, a wasting disease that ate the bone from within. A toothache turned into swelling, then to decay so severe it left holes where flesh should be. Their pain went unseen, though their work lit every home. Society praised them as industrious and modest, yet these matchstick girls carried inside them a quiet corrosion. Respectable ideals of womanhood masked their disfigurement, as if virtue could outshine decay. When awareness finally spread, they struck, demanding safety and dignity. The same women who made the world's light began to spark something new. The first flames of factory reform. Number 6. Coal miners' death traps. Beneath the factories, another revolution rumbled in the dark. Each dawn, miners descended into pits that stretched far below the earth, forming the unseen foundation of the Industrial Revolution. They carved tunnels through rock, guided by weak lantern light and the promise of wages just enough to return tomorrow. Explosions from trapped gas, collapsing walls, and suffocating dust waited in every chamber. Even survival meant breathing coal so fine it turned lungs to stone, a condition later called black lung. Above ground, coal powered locomotives and factories. Below, it created ghosts. Faces black with soot, eyes dulled by exhaustion, bodies bent before their time. Their suffering remained invisible, sealed underground like the seams they mined. These men were not just casualties of progress. They were its fuel, consumed as completely as the coal itself, laboring in the hidden underworld that kept the surface bright. Number 7. The workhouse system. For the jobless, progress had one doorway, the workhouse. Created under the poor laws, these institutions claimed to reform poverty, but did so through punishment. Life inside was designed to be harsh, teaching the poor that dependence brought shame. As machines replaced workers, unemployment spread faster than charity. Those left behind were sent into buildings that looked like prisons, treated not as victims of change, but as offenders of morality. Industry had created them, then condemned them for existing. The workhouse fit perfectly into its age's logic: efficiency, order, control. It blurred mercy with management, turning public virtue into private suffering. Families were divided, rations measured, labor enforced. Even the smallest comfort felt undeserved. Like a bureaucratic Frankenstein, society built its own monsters, then locked them away. What began as aid hardened into paperwork, rules, and humiliation. The administration of misery. Number 8. Luddites executed for protesting machines. The first war against automation ended at the gallows. The Luddites, skilled artisans of the early 19th century, rose up as machines replaced their craft. They saw their livelihoods vanish, their wages collapse, and centuries of skill reduced to scrap. Their only defense was destruction, raids against the very frames that had erased their trade. The government answered not with dialogue, but soldiers. Under new laws, breaking a machine carried a death sentence. Officials painted these workers as rebels, waging war on progress, denying the hunger and fear behind their defiance. Over time, the story was rewritten. Luddite came to mean enemy of innovation, not laborer fighting extinction. Their executions marked a turning point. Human dignity condemned to protect industrial property. Progress lived on, but only after silencing those who dared say it had gone too far. Number 9. Child chimney sweeps. When chimneys turned black, children became the brushes. Small boys, some barely old enough to speak properly, were forced up narrow flues where no adult could fit. Inside, soot filled their lungs, while their skin scraped against brick and mortar. The burns came from hot fireplaces not yet cooled, the suffocation from air too thin to breathe. Many grew twisted spines and bowed legs, their bodies shaped by shafts they could never stand upright in. As cities expanded, every new chimney meant new demand. Orphanages supplied the workers, signing contracts that turned childhood into a commodity. Officials called it practical charity, a grim convenience wrapped in moral language. Reform arrived only when society learned to find pity fashionable. By then, thousands were scarred, proof that Victorian cleanliness came from human filth, polished bright by the grime of those who cleaned it. Number 10. Toxic rivers and deformed fish. The rivers of progress didn't just carry goods. They carried poison. Factories lined the banks, turning waterways into liquid waste dumps. Dyes, metals, and chemical runoff flowed day and night, tainting streams that once watered crops and quenched entire towns. Bright colors rippled on the surface. Chemical blues, reds, and purples shimmering where life had vanished beneath. The strange beauty disguised decay. Fish floated misshapen, their scales dulled by toxins that stained the current. To manufacturers, dumping was efficiency. Pollution became an unseen subsidy for production, a shortcut that saved money while shifting the cost to nature itself. Progress meant profit first, purity last. Those vivid fabrics and polished goods that dazzled the market came from poisoned water. Every sparkling product held a reflection of its maker's waste. The glorious revolution of steam shadowed by a quieter one of dispossession and rot. Every triumph of steel and steam cast an equal shadow across the people who built it. The logic of efficiency, measure, extract, repeat, never truly ended. It shaped the structure of modern capitalism, where technology still advances faster than fairness, and cost is often paid in silence. Factories have changed, but the pattern has not. Mechanization displaces as it uplifts. Pollution grows where production thrives, and labor bends under the same invisible pressures. The true horror isn't that the Industrial Revolution is over. It's that its rhythm still drives the world. Progress always carries a price. The question is, who pays it now?